Well, here we go again. It's TwoSun Tuesday, and this is a Max Tkachuk design. This one's a little smaller than the other one that I'd taken a look at that was almost 4 inches long. But, yeah. Now, first up, yeah, elephant in the room. I have anodized this myself, so it's got gold and a blue backspacer on there because I think that matches pretty nicely with the carbon fiber that we have going on here on the front. So, yeah, they don't come standard like that, but it's super easy enough to do that, so I did. And this guy is, yeah, it's a titanium frame lock. We do have, kind of a scale overlay sort of thing, but yeah, it's a super frame lock. We got the stainless steel insert, of course, for interface with the blade. And yeah, this thing is kind of an interesting design. It's almost completely like a Wharncliffe sheep's foot kind of thing, but it does kick up right here to kind of get it just a little tiny bit of a lift like a tanto would. But yeah, just a little bit different there. This guy is, yeah, it's a little bit fancier. We got M390 steel. There we are. Yeah, there's the maker's mark. And, yeah, obviously this guy's got that kind of coffin kind of handle arrangement, which is very, very neutral, which means it's very comfortable for a lot of different people. And, yeah, it works out quite well. I can get a full 4-finger grip on there. Absolutely no problems whatsoever. And it's also nice and thin, also in the pocket as well as the blade there. And, yeah, the blade is basically buried enough in there that I can't really reach that blade. So, yeah, we're super good there. We got some nice crenellations going on here on the titanium backspacer. And the pocket clip, interesting that it's actually attached in 2 places, but it's not inset in, and that's probably kind of the reason why, and they really wanted to do that to minimize the height of the piece of titanium that they would mill out, because this is a milled clip because of these carbon fiber scales. And works quite nicely. It's not deep carry because of that. You're still going to have, you know, a little bit there, but I'm very, very used to that, as when I was, first getting into knives and everything like that, deep carry wasn't really much of a thing that was going on, so I'm very much used to a standard clip that gives you a little bit to grab onto, so. Yeah. I like this guy quite a bit. This was my first locking knife from TwoSun in M390. And yeah, it's a nice one. It's very much more like a gentleman's kind of carry sort of thing, not, a super huge hard use kind of thing. That being said, though, we do have a bit of some thickness to the blade stock. It's either that or I'm absolutely lying to you just because it kind of looks that way. Yep, I was absolutely lying to y'all. Okay, so yeah, fairly slicey. It's basically like 3.35 millimeters, right around there. We'll go at 3.4 just because that's probably what they initially started with, which is it's a little bit thinner than you would normally get on a lot of TwoSun knives. A lot of them, they do end up being a lot thicker. You can kind of see that the blade does look quite a bit thicker than it actually did read out being, but that's also because these handle scales are a little bit smaller than I'm also used to. So yeah, there you go. This guy, yep, has some nice action on him. But, yeah, sorry, I had myself just a little bit of a brain fart. Okay, how about if I go ahead and try and get a little bit more measurements just than blade stock thickness on here. And we'll go with blade length. And we got, just over 3.2, 3.25, yeah, 3¼ inch blade essentially going on there. And yeah, you can see with that, it is basically a saber grind, where it's, you know, around 3/4 of the way up, and that's where we have the flat, and we do have kind of a swedge going on in the back there. That kind of gets back out to the optimum thickness or whatnot right there before it transitions down into that little thing there. Now these guys right here at the end, we're a little, we're just a little bit edgy, shall we say, like a full 90. That's why you can kind of see a little bit of stuff going on here. That's basically me taking some ceramic rods to kind of knock that down just a little bit. Maybe not the most aesthetically pleasing thing in the whole world, but hey, this thing also came with a scratch on it. So, yeah, it didn't really bother me all that much. Something interesting with a lot of Tkachuk's designs, and I just completely lost my whole train of thought, so I will probably get back to that as soon as I can here. Oh, yeah. There you go, 5.75, so... Yep, without those carbon fiber scales, it would be quite a bit thinner, but yeah, that does offer the contouring there. All right, so yeah, what I was saying here before I lost my train of thought is Tkachuk's designs, most of them do have smaller pivot and bearing cages than a lot of their other knives. Nothing particularly wrong with that, but that's just kind of the way that most of his knives end up going. So yeah, how about if we go ahead and take a look on there. So, yep. Oh, shut up, chair arm. You. Sorry if you guys can hear that. I am working to try to fix that because it's annoying me as much as it's probably annoying you. Aha, there's my real screwdriver. Here we go. So yeah, in this particular case, we have T6 screws for the clip. And T8 for pretty much everything else here. Now I basically, last time I put this together, kind of put it together a little bit backwards. And I will remedy that here, but yeah. So yeah, on the inside, yep, not anything really crazy with weight relieving, but there is a groove that they've cut inside this side. So it does have a bit of weight relieving kind of going on there. Pretty large stainless steel insert that they got going on here, but that's mostly because they didn't really want to kind of make it look funky up there and whatnot, so they kind of pushed it a bit further back. We got the steel bearing races there. And yeah, this is what I'm talking about here. So these are fairly small compared to your normal sized ceramic bearing cages from these guys, as well as others. And that also mirrors with the pivot, which, yeah, not D-shaped at all, but yeah, much thinner than a lot of others. And it certainly makes sense with this one. This is much more of a gentleman's use kind of knife going on, so yeah. But yeah, how about if I actually put this together probably the way that it was more or less intended to be done. I had done that on a couple of these knives to make adjusting the pivot a little bit easier, but you know, I've just gotten used to doing it correctly. So, all right, where did my other bearings go? Unless they're in the blade. Aha. I'll just swap those around. So yeah, we got the little tiny pin here for the backspacer. Really do like how that kind of turned out. I do like to do a little bit of polishing on my titanium before I do the anodization. And yeah, I probably wouldn't suggest it for a lot of other people to do, because it can make fingerprints very, very apparent. And, you know, a lot of people, that really, really bothers them. And I don't blame you. You know, keeping it a little bit more matte or satin finish kind of thing probably helps a lot with aesthetics, but that's not what I did. And yeah, I suppose you could probably dunk this in Wink, rust remover or something like that for a little bit, so that it actually does erode just a little tiny bit into the you know, the thing there, and then kind of buff it back up with some Scotch-Brite or something like that, if you are looking to you know, add more of a matte finish to titanium or whatever after the fact. Or you could also kind of experiment with doing some acid wash if you actually like something like that. That doesn't necessarily scream gentleman look to me, but you know, it's certainly an option for something that people like to do. Let's see, I could probably loosen that pivot just a little bit here. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, there we go. There's kind of what's on the inside of this guy. A little interesting that it's got much smaller kind of things going on there. And yeah, this one has an external blade pin, as I was kind of going on. So it doesn't have the little area cut out in the titanium that you would usually have the blade pin kind of riding along when you know, it's actually mounted to the blade. But because they're inset, or the bearings are inset into the blade there, this doesn't really make this any better or worse than most other knives when it comes to kind of getting dirt and grime in there. So you're probably pretty darn good not really having to worry about anything like that. But yeah, I mean, anything with bearings, pretty much, I really wouldn't suggest for doing a lot of hard, crazy use, especially stuff like construction, where you're opening up and cutting a lot of things that are, you know, powdered. And we got like concrete mix, different lies and whatnot. You know, if you're cutting a plasterboard, if you're putting up walls and stuff like that, that's the kind of stuff that'll really gum up some bearings. So if those are kind of a lot of what you end up doing, you probably do want to have phosphor bronze washes in there. It keeps it much closer, or yeah, it keeps the blade and the scales much closer together, and you know, actively kind of rejects a lot of that dirt and grime and everything. But you know, unless you have something like this Benchmade 940 that's you know, been around the block for close to 20 years, then you probably won't get quite the action that you would get out of bearings. So, you know, that's why they've been a lot more popular recently, is well, they're funner to play with, pretty much. I can't really say that they affect the actual use of a knife any, but yeah, they do feel nice. Well, yeah, that's basically everything I got to say about this little gentlemanly carry guy here. Quite like it. Yeah, the carbon fiber that sits quite proud of the handles is kind of an interesting touch. Something you generally don't see all that much from TwoSun. Usually, they will have the carbon fiber flush with the titanium. This just because it's kind of small and everything, adds a bit of a contour onto it. It makes it a little bit more comfortable to hold on to than just your super flat knife like a Kershaw Leak or something like that. So yeah, it does set it apart. All right. As always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe.